And all your sons started going out
With the girls?
with the girls, and they finally meet their future wives.
Oh,
Kind
well, it's kind of funny. Well, let me see now. Well, Bill, oh, well, the school kids. Bill used to get crushes on this one and that one. But he never really brought anybody home very much, you know what I mean? Now, he never went around with anybody steady. And Gordon, of course, he was going around with Shirley. They were school sweethearts. And then he broke up with her once, and he went out with somebody else a couple of times. Then he went back with her. And then Fred, he went always hanging up around the Rogers. That's where that started. And then he broke up when he went out with another girl. And then one Sunday went for a drive, and he took me with them. And then she took, every time we make a date with her, she used to take her cousin. And it was a guy, and the cousin used to eat him out with host and home. So she only took her out a few times. Her mother didn't want her to go alone. I can understand. And Betty was living in Halifax. Well, she used to once in a while have a boyfriend, like a couple of little guys up the road. And then, well, she went around with a Jerry Mills at that time. She was engaged to be married to Jerry for a couple of years. And then they broke up. And then she didn't go around with anybody until she met Norman. I met Norman in Greenwood. She and Margie, a friend of hers, Margie Walker, they went up to, I think Margie must have met her, the one she married, met him, and they went up to Greenwood to a dance. And Betty went up with her, and then she met Norman, and then they came back. Then I met Norman, let's see now, she had met him at Christmas time, I guess. Then they decided to get married. They were married, she only around here about 6 months, I guess. So Betty was what, 27?
Yeah.
So they decided to get married. I said, are you sure? Oh, yeah. Yes, well, I didn't know too much about that romance, but she was going out with Bill, and the only inkling that I had that he was going out with her was, I don't think she went around very much. Not very long, but anyway, your grandmother phoned me one day, told me who she was. I didn't know who she was. Called me up and asked me if Billy had heard from Joyce. Apparently she was away in Toronto, and she hadn't been in contact with her mother, so her mother's worrying about her, but I didn't have any news for her because I didn't know. But I didn't know her at that time, but then afterwards, when she met Kenny, Kenny had her over here 2 or 3 times before. Then he broke up with her, and he was going around the house moping and moaning around and around. And so then next thing I knew, they were getting married.
Yeah, was it kind of a fast, quick decision?
Well, yes, I think so. So then Fred, he was going around with Catherine, but they were only, he was only young. Then finally, next thing I knew, they were getting married. So in 1 year, Betty got married. No, your father, Gordon was already married.
Yeah.
Gordon married Shirley.